Korea's economy in the 1960s was in shambles, to say the least, after the bloody Korean War. Double-digit economic growth from the 1960s to the 80s arose from the sheer determination of its people to improve their lives. But all this could not have been done without the foreign funds and investments needed to build the infrastructure which set the stage for industrialization. In the early 1960s, the Park regime dispatched over 10,000 Koreans to Germany to work as miners and nurses in exchange for German investments and development funds that significantly contributed to Korea's economy. The workers harbored hopes of improving their lives and encountered a new culture, more opportunities, and economic security. This first wave of Korean workers sent abroad was part of President Park's larger exploration of ways for Korea to become financially sound, and was an integral part of Korea's entrance into the international market. The Cold War divided the world into two economic and ideological zones, the capitalist bloc and the communist bloc. South Korea and West Germany were both part of the capitalist bloc. The two nations shared numerous similarities and faced similar challenges. Both were among the rare group of nations that suffered from the separation of their people. Furthermore, South Korea was under the constant threat of a violent clash with its communist neighbor, North Korea, while West Germany faced the same threat with East Germany. Moreover, West Germany underwent post-war economic reconstruction, specifically the Miracle of the Rhine, and needed labor to drive its industrialization. West Germany also needed a reliable source of energy to fuel the growth of industry, which made coal mining Germany's #1 priority as an energy source. However, most German laborers steered away from labor-intensive and dangerous industries, especially mining. On the other hand, Korean workers were less discriminate about the work. Most Koreans were satisfied with employment at the time when the national unemployment rate toppled over 30%. In addition, foreign currency was of great value in Korea. In 1963, South Korea and Germany signed a labor recruitment agreement stating Korea would provide Germany with laborers to work as miners and nurses. The collective Korean term for the miners and nurses sent in accordance to the agreement is 파도근로자. In exchange, the 파도근로자 would be paid for their efforts, and Germany would provide necessary funds for Korea's industrialization. Korea sent 7,936 miners to Germany from 1963 to 1977, and 11,057 nurses from 1965 to 1976. Korean citizens, desperate to escape poverty, jumped at the chance to go to Germany and earn money.
그 당시로 이제 거의 10배 정도의 우리 한국에 한 10배 정도의 월급을 받는다고 했었으니까 그렇기도 하고 또 그 당시 이제 마르크라고 그랬거든요. 독일의 화폐를. 그 마르크가 우리나라 환율하고 비교를 했을 때 굉장히 차이가 있었어요.
The foreign currency the Korean miners and nurses brought back to Korea in exchange for their labor in Germany amounted to around US $50 million, accounting for 2% of Korea's gross national product. Miners earned 10,000 marks per month, or in Korean currency 50,000 won, greater than the salary of a banker in Korea during that period. Typically, the 파도근로자 sent 80% of their earnings back to Korea, enabling their family members to acquire education, get jobs, and contribute to the development of the country.
그래서 우리가 거기서 돈을 벌어가지고 다 보냈어요. 이 한국으로 발달, 부흥이 됐죠.
In addition, Korea's annual per capita income, initially around $80 in the early 1960s, exceeded $1,000 by 1978. The international community, so impressed by Korea's explosive economic development in such a short period of time, dubbed it the Miracle of the Han River, a term reflecting Korea's rise from rags to riches and echoing Germany's own economic recovery. Such achievements would not have been possible without the individual efforts of the Korean miners and nurses. It is easy to think that the Koreans went to Germany out of sense of national pride and for the sake of Korea's economy. That is precisely society's interpretation. However, the main motivation behind their decision to go to Germany for many of the 파도근로자 was not patriotism. Most of them had individual aims.
조금이라도 꿈을 살리기 위해서 내가 공부도 좀 더 해보고 싶고 또 더 큰 나라도 보고 싶고 이렇게 하기 위해서는 나가야 된다라는 그런 결정을 했었죠.
자기 가족을 위해서 갔지. 그때는 몰랐지. 나라에서 하도 못 살았으니까 이제 첫째 가족이지.
The 파도근로자 worked diligently to fulfill their own purposes while encountering multiple physical and emotional hardships in Germany.
한 1000m 이상 되는데 지하에 내려가면은 40도 이상 됩니다. 땀을 피어듯 하고 하여튼 물에 빠졌던 뭐 이런 뭐 속된 말입니다.
The majority of Korean citizens believe the encounters faced by the Padokloja to be strenuous feats. However, life in Korea after the Korean War was very difficult. For many of the miners and nurses, moving to Germany changed their lives for the better. Koreans married Germans, raised families, and enrolled their children in German schools. Only a minority of Padokloja went back to Korea. Most chose to either stay in Germany or move to countries like the United States or Canada. Some were even able to permanently escape the poverty they suffered back in Korea and pursue an education. What started as a labor recruitment agreement became a cultural encounter and the beginning of a new life.
저는 독일에 참 잘 갔다고 생각하고
네, 그랬을 것 같아요. 그리고 지금 생각해도 참 나에게 아주 내 삶에 소중한 한때를 그때 보냈다고 생각을 하죠.
그때로 돌아간다면은 그렇지.
The individual efforts and motivations of the Padokloja created an influx of foreign capital that fulfilled the government's objective of boosting the economy. In 1776, Adam Smith, an economist, wrote, "Every individual is continually exerting himself to find out the most advantageous employment for whatever capital he can command. But the study of his own advantage naturally, or rather necessarily, leads him to prefer that employment which is most advantageous to society. He intends only his own gain, and he is in this led by an invisible hand to promote an end which was not part of his intention." An invisible hand led the Padokloja to promote the development of Korea's economy under Park Chung-hee's regime during the miracle of the Han River, the fastest period of economic development in Korea's history. President Park Chung-hee dreamed of salvaging Korea's destroyed economy, but this seemed nearly impossible as there was nowhere in Korea to gather funds for his ambitious plans. The dispatchment of Koreans to Germany was the fundamental milestone of his endeavor to fix Korea's economy. The foreign currency that the Padokloja brought provided the infrastructure necessary for President Park's future exploration of development plans such as the construction of the Seoul-Busan Highway. On a broader scale, it inspired and instilled into Koreans the hope that dreams can be realized with hard work. This change in mindset breathed life into projects such as the New Village movement, which required the direct participation of Korean locals. The Korea-Germany Labor Recruitment Agreement was the beginning of an exploration into overseas labor export, the international market, and development plans during the miracle of the Han River. The Korean nurses even earned the nickname Korean Angels. The dire conditions back in Korea motivated the Koreans to work assiduously in Germany, and the intensity that the Koreans worked with moved the Germans. The Germans weren't used to working as hard and had no need to since Germany's economy was more advanced. The miners and nurses gained respect among the German community through their outstanding diligence. This elevated Korea's reputation within the international community. Based on the success of the Padokloja, more international manpower exports designed to bring foreign currency for Korea ensued, such as civil construction projects in Vietnam during the Vietnam War and engineering and labor projects in the Middle East in the 1970s. The labor recruitment agreement with Germany, according to Professor Michael E. Robinson of Indiana University, began the exchange of labor and technology for experience and capability, as well as capital, an essential part of Korea's economic development. The miracle of the Han River was one of the most dramatic and inspirational economic makeovers in history. The Korean miners and nurses sent to Germany, or Padokloja, had a significant role in galvanizing Korea's economy as they brought much-needed foreign funds in exchange for their work. Their perseverance, diligence, and work ethic brought newfound respect for Korean laborers in the international market, which fueled foreign investments and began Korea's exploration into the sector of labor dispatchment. Not only did the Padokloja contribute towards Korea's economy, but they also encountered new culture and started new lives, which allowed them to bring themselves and their families out of poverty. The individual efforts the Korean miners and nurses made for themselves and for their families can be described as a butterfly effect and ultimately becoming the stepping stone for the expansion of Korea's economy.